What's up, mi gente? This is your host Andres, and I welcome you to Where Are You Listening? An exploration of blackness in the songs we love.
Suelta perro mayora, suelta perro mayora, cuida con ese marrón, con su ganga güey, arriba el toto.
Today, we're listening to Raza by Alexander Abreu and Havana de Primera. And today is a very special day because we're relaunching and renovating the entire Where Are You Listening series all the way from the beginning. And we're going to be doing that in both Spanish and English, so we're going to have the opportunity to learn about blackness in these songs that we love in both of these languages.
Hey, it's your host Mel, here to tell you that Were You Listening is a series of the Mixedtape podcast which aims to center the contribution of Black people and culture across Latin America, the Caribbean, and the diaspora through dance and music. If you were looking to practice your bilingual skills, mira, si tú quieres practicar, there is also a Spanish version of this episode. Así que ve y lo escuchas en español también. Follow us on Instagram at mixedtape.podcast and click the link tree in our bio to find all of our episodes across platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
Y si eres diferente, quizás te pueda.
Alexander, the composer of Raza, is a very talented musician and songwriter born in Cienfuegos, Cuba in 1976. He is recognized as one of the greatest trumpet players of his generation. Alexander founded the famous music group Havana de Primera in 2008 together with a group of 15 top musicians. The style of Havana de Primera is fundamentally timba, which according to Alexander runs through the veins of every Cuban. However, Havana de Primera also integrates sounds from jazz, Caribbean sounds, and Puerto Rican salsa.
Transparente y sin maldad, entiéndeme cuando lloré.
We wanted to start the Were You Listening series with this song because Alexander Abreu wrote it specifically in response to George Floyd's killing by a police officer in 2020. But more broadly, Alexander wrote it in response to the persistent racism in our societies. This is very similar, honestly, to the motivation of why we started the podcast in 2020, also motivated by the killing of George Floyd, and also motivated by the racism in our societies, in particular in our dance societies. So what's special about Raza is that Alexander poses a series of basic questions that shake us strongly due to their simplicity and veracity. Alexander asks, why is there still racism even though we are the same in our capacity as human beings? I wonder, who hasn't spent countless hours pondering in frustration about the answer to this same question? Let's listen.
Suelta perro mayora, suelta perro mayora, cuida con ese marrón, con su ganga güey, arriba el toto. Suelta perro mayora, suelta perro mayora, cuida con ese marrón, con su ganga güey, arriba el toto. Suelta perro mayora.
Suelta perro mayoral, cuidado con el cimarrón. Let the dogs loose, overseer. Look out for the maroons. Alexander immediately starts the song alluding to the terrible era of slavery. We hear voices that suggest to the mayoral, the slave overseer, to let the dogs loose so as to capture enslaved men who have presumably escaped, those who are called cimarrones, maroons.
Quiero escuchar tu corazón, a ver si late igual que el mío. Déjame entrar en tus venas, a ver si tu sangre es roja. Muéstrame tu piel desnuda, a ver si reacciona el frío. Y si eres diferente, quizás te pueda entender.
Quiero escuchar tu corazón, a ver si late igual que el mío. Déjame entrar en tus venas, a ver si tu sangre es roja. Muéstrame tu piel desnuda, a ver si reacciona al frío. Y si eres diferente, quizás te pueda entender. I want to listen to your heart, to check if it beats like mine. Let me get inside your veins, to to see if your blood is also red. Show me your naked skin to see if it reacts to the cold. And if you are different, then maybe I'll be able to understand you. These lyrics contain the same question that anyone who has ever been affected by racism, either directly or indirectly, asks. The almost obvious question which the child inside of us never ceases to ask. Can't you see that we're very much the same? Why do you continue to do this? Why can't we just get along? Most of us likely have this initial, perhaps naive reaction to racism. If only it was that easy.
Déjame darte un abrazo y devuélveme la sonrisa. Déjame quererte así, transparente y sin maldad. Y entiéndeme cuando lloré por los años que he vivido, intentando convencerte de que soy igual que tú.
Déjame darte un abrazo y devuélveme la sonrisa. Déjame quererte así, transparente y sin maldad. Entiéndeme cuando llore por los años que he vivido, intentando convencerte de que soy igual que tú. Let me give you a hug and give me back my smile. Let me love you like this, transparent and with no malice. Be understanding when I cry, for the years that I've lived, trying to convince you that I'm equal to you. Here, the song moves on to adopt what seems like an optimistic strategy to convince those engaging in racist behaviors. Let me show you my love, for that way you will see that we're the same. It has a bit of a Christian turn the other cheek flavor. I think most of us on the receiving end of anti-blackness have probably tried this strategy at some point. I should say I have never been very successful with it.
Igual que tú. Y si mi color te enoja y no me dejas quererte, al menos no me des muerte con tu rodilla en mi cuello.
Y si mi color te enoja y no me dejas quererte, al menos no me des muerte con tu rodilla en mi cuello. And if my color angers you, and you don't let me love you, at least don't kill me with your knee on my neck. Alexander taps here into the event that motivated the song, the tragic murder of George Floyd by a police officer in May of 2020, which triggered months of demonstrations in the US and abroad. Alexander integrates into the lyrics the horrendous image of the police officer who caused George Floyd's death with his knee on George's neck. If you don't let me love you, at least don't kill me, Alexander says.
Deja al menos la esperanza de que exista un mundo sano y reconoce lo bello que se siente ser humano. Bueno, Millares, ya llenaste mi vida de muerte. Ya rompiste mi alma en pedazos, ahora llena de flores tus brazos, y al menos déjame quererte.
Deja al menos la esperanza de que exista un mundo sano y reconoce lo bello que se siente ser humano. Ya llenaste mi vida de muerte, ya rompiste mi alma en pedazos, ahora llena de flores tus brazos, y al menos déjame quererte. Let there at least be hope that there might exist a world that makes sense, and recognize how beautiful it feels to be human. You already filled my life up with death. You already broke my soul in pieces. Now fill your arms up with flowers, and at least let me love you. We continue here with an optimistic view of the anti-racist struggle. I must confess I struggle a bit to connect with this part of the lyrics. For me, they generate feelings that maintain a sense of victimhood, similar to that in an abusive, one-sided relationship begging to maintain the abusive dynamic. At least let me love you, Alexander sings. Yeah, no, I don't think I want that.
Vamos, mírame a los ojos y ponle fin al sufrimiento y al dolor. Que nos una la esperanza, somos una sola raza con diferente color. Agüe son agüe, mañana son mañana. Ya rompiste mi alma en pedazos, ahora llena de flores tus brazos. Vivo soñando, vivo pensando, vivo queriendo darte un abrazo. Oye bien, de esos que salen del alma. Ruego a Dios por tu clemencia y le pido a mi conciencia que no permita el rencor y me regale la calma.
Vamos, mírame a los ojos y ponle fin al sufrimiento y al dolor. Que nos una la esperanza. Somos una sola raza con diferente color. Vivo soñando, vivo pensando, vivo queriendo darte un abrazo. Oye bien, de esos que salen del alma. Ruego a Dios por tu clemencia y le pido a mi conciencia que no permita el rencor y me regale la calma. Come on, look me in the eye and put an end to the suffering and the pain. Let hope unite us. We're all one race with different color. I keep dreaming, keep thinking. I keep wanting to give you a hug. Listen up, one of those hugs from deep down, from the soul. I beg to God for clemency, and I ask of my conscience to not allow hatred and to give me calm. These lyrics depict the swirling pool of contradictory feelings we experience when despicable acts of racism happen. We want to understand the why. We long and wish for unity on the basis of our humanity. For those with spiritual faith, he depicts our calls for help from the heavens and even our complaints to our deities. He shows how we are torn between our desires for harmonious community and the justified rage. Lo que no te mata te hace más fuerte. A lo bueno bueno y a lo malo guerra. Sin miedo a la candela aunque sea brava. Mejor que yo la tierra que al final me traga. What doesn't kill you make you stronger. To good respond with good. To evil respond with war. No fear of the fire, no matter how ferocious. Better than me the earth, that in the end will swallow me. I'm sure many of us felt enraged when George Floyd was murdered by that police officer. Given how small the infraction that led to the tragic murder was, a suspicion of a counterfeit $20 bill, rage seemed inevitable. But even in the midst of our rage, our music, this song Raza by Havana de Primera, in particular, is evidence of our deepest desire to charge ahead, not ignoring the hateful acts committed against us, but preventing both hate and fear from settling in our hearts. Sin miedo a la candela, aunque sea brava, mejor que yo la tierra, que al final me traga.
Por la sangre derramada, la tierra va a temblar.
Kai Kai Yemayá, tierra va a temblar. Por la sangre derramada, la tierra va a temblar. Kai Kai Yemayá, the earth will shake. For the blood that has been spilled, the earth will shake. What a way to end this song. A call to the queen of the sea herself, the motherly Orisha of the Yoruba culture, Yemayá. For the blood that has been spilled, the earth will shake.
Si lo tapa se revienta.
And to finish this episode, I wanted to give the mic to my co-host Mel to reflect a little on what this song evokes in her and what it meant in the context in which it was launched. What's good, Dr. Bilotas?
I really like Raza, and I love that it's the first Were You Listening episode. Alexander Abreu offers language to his listeners that aids in learning to understand and express many of the feelings we experience in the face of explicit and tragic instances of racism. Rage and anger tend to be feelings many people resonate with and find comfort in. But what Alexander Abreu offers us is depth and breadth of emotional vocabulary that helps us connect to what we truly experience in the face of not only police brutality, but all forms of racism, especially anti-Black racism. In addition to anger, we now understand how sadness, a desire to be understood, vulnerability, love, justice, resilience, fear, pain, confusion, and desperation, among others, emerge. This song is emotionally expansive, timely, and a beautiful use of his platform to help folks understand that we are all human and that racism truly tears us apart.
And before I say goodbye, I want to thank the Mixedtape podcast team, my co-host Dr. Melissa Bilotas, who edited this episode, and Susan Maicalcio, who creates the graphics for the episodes. And also a big thank you to the Orange County Arts Commission for partially funding this episode. And to our audience, thank you so much for being here with us today. I am your host, Andres Hincapié, and if you weren't listening, now you are.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. To hear today's song or other songs featured on the Were You Listening series, check out the Were You Listening playlist, which can be found at our brand new website, themixtapepodcast.com. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at mixtape.podcast, as well as Twitter and YouTube, which are easily accessed through our website. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for our posts. This episode was sponsored by Orange County Arts Commission. Thanks for listening. This is Mixtape.